Welcome to the League of Legends experience, episode 2. In my first episode, obviously, I interviewed a diamond support slash top player. And in this one, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm actually going to run this one solo. So this should be fun. I'm going to be going through a few things tonight. The first one is a little tip of the week I have that leads into the topic of the week. The second one is champion meta. So what champions in patch 11.4 are really popping at the moment for every single role. And then go into my own op.gg and kind of review it, have a look at it, see how I'm going, see how I'm tracking, talk a little bit about my goals and, how I'm going to achieve them. Go into the topic of the week, which is high skill cap champions versus low skill cap champions. So champions that have a lot of micro intense requirements, think like Irelia, for example, versus champions who have very low skill cap, think like Rumble, Maokai, where it's really easy to be consistent on them, but it's harder to outplay your opponent or, outclass them or outskill them, BM them, and, be hyper mobile. But I'm going to look at the pros and cons of that. And then I'm going to do a little Q&A call out because obviously I don't have any questions yet. But if anyone in the Twitch chat as I'm going has questions, please put them in there and I'll answer them at the end of the episode. Alduin, how you going? So I'm streaming this live on Twitch and obviously chances are you're probably going to hear this as a recording, but yeah, welcome to episode 2. So let's get into it. So tip of the week is related to the topic of the week, and that is the importance of comfort picks. Now, comfort picks, for my definition, a comfort pick is a champion that you know how to play and you play them consistently well. So a comfort pick isn't just a champion that you feel comfortable on. It actually has to be a champion you have a lot of experience on, which does have a correlation to comfortability, but also you actually have a proven track record of. So you're really looking to identify a comfort pick as a champion you've played across multiple seasons, if you've played multiple seasons. If you're a new player, you're generally looking at champions that you've played, 100, 150 plus at least games on. And to be honest, comfort picks can be anywhere from 300 plus games sometimes. And to be honest, champion mastery and the mastery of a champion is very different from a comfort pick, but you kind of start getting into that champion mastery zone with some people's comfort picks, especially one tricks. Now, comfort picks for me, in my opinion, are champions that are very low skill mechanic, so they don't require that much micro intensity, because I like to play League of Legends macro. I don't like to play the playstyle where I have to outplay my opponent, my individual lane opponent, to win the game. I like to go, okay, I'm happy to go even, at a slight loss or at a slight lead, but it's not essential. Me winning lane isn't essential to the game victory. It's essential that I stay in the game and that I stay relevant in laning phase and I make sure I don't get too far behind. But I prefer a much more calm, leveled approach to laning phase where I don't have to outplay the opponent with Irelia, dashing everywhere, trying to get a stun. I'll play champions like Rumble who have solid wave clear, solid roam potential, really good back timers, and have really good roam potential and team fighting. Now, that's my tip of the week. I think at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's up to how you want to play League of Legends. But I always say, if you're ever in doubt, always go for a comfort pick over a pick that you are unsure about. Just because you think it's a counter pick, I don't really think it's the best choice. If you're a first season player, a second season player, third season, fourth season, fifth season player, and you pick a champion because you went to a site such as u.gg, like we're looking at, and saw that, Singed is a counter pick to Nocturne, yet you've never played Singed before, well, you're going to go, okay, you probably perform better on a champion that you know much better and might be a tougher matchup traditionally, but because you have more understanding of the champion and more knowledge of how to play the champion and pilot them, chances are you're probably going to do better on your comfort pick, even though the traditional matchup isn't in your favor. So that's my little tip of the week. Comfort picks over anything else at any elo. So if you're in Iron, comfort picks, Bronze, comfort picks, Diamond, comfort picks, Master, Challenger, comfort picks. most players who aren't professional players play their comfort picks. One tricks come to mind immediately. So the second one is, what is the meta at the moment in 11.4? And I'm going to look at the traditional meta because it's basically stats don't lie. And yes, you can go and yes, a lot of people feel like, oh, this champion's really strong this patch. And then if they ever looked up the stats, it would actually be going, oh, hang on. This champion isn't actually that strong. I just know the champion really well, or maybe I've just had 5 or 10 good games on them, and I'm actually thinking now that it's a really good pick, when in reality, it's probably a little bit biased due to your experience on the champion, but as well as you might have just got 5 really good games with really good teammates, and it makes you feel like the champion's in the meta, but in reality, it could be an entirely different story. So I like to use statistics sites such as u.gg. I used to use champion.gg, but I've found that u.gg actually has some better analysis. I like the layout a little bit more, and it feels like it gets it up to date a little bit quicker. So we're going to start with top lane here. And as you'll notice when I do these, the top 3 champions, I'm going to do the top 3 champions for each role, starting at top. The top 3 champions are usually there's always, generally one of them's quite niche. One of them's not a champion you really expect to see up there, and it's usually because it's an early meta setter. And yes, that rhymes, but an early meta setter is kind of champions that are almost on the fringe of the meta. People are testing them. Generally, these champions come out of like Korea or one tricks who have like played the champion for ages, and then they all of a sudden find this new build or something like that. And we can look at it right now. Nocturne is the first one. So coming in at number 1 in the top lane with a 52.64% win rate, a 1% pick rate, and a 1.1% ban rate over 11,000 matches. I believe this is Plat plus Elo. He's coming in at number 1, and yes, u.gg rate it at a tier A, but the fact that he's got a 52.64% win rate is a little bit misleading, right? Because he only has a 1% pick rate, which is generally means that it's a lot of one tricks, a lot of niche players, and a lot of people who are probably abusing a new build that may not be relevant in the next patch. And I believe with Nocturne at the moment, it's a Prowler's Claw Rush. Hey, Omegalol, how you going, mate? Recording episode 2 of the League of Legends experience live on stream, and also recording it for Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, I think there's a few others, but yeah, it's going on there. So we've got 52.64% win rate on Nocturne, and again, I wouldn't say this is meta, but he is in the top 3 of win rate. And the way I'm going to be doing these patch reviews, or, meta reviews of the patches, 11.4 for this one, is in terms of win rate. Highest win rate champions that have a decent number of champions recorded. Hey, Peacock Trainer, how you going? So we've got Nocturne coming in at number 1. Then we've got Cho'Gath, which is a personal favorite of mine. I actually love playing Cho'Gath. I've been playing him pretty much the whole of Season 11. I think the tank changes really helped out Cho'Gath, and you can see he's coming in at S tier according to u.gg with a 52.48% win rate, a 4.4% pick rate, which is really high. Champions with 4.4% pick rates, when they're ranked 2nd in their tier, generally means they're due for a nerf. Now, obviously, Cho'Gath got a little nerf to his Vorpal Spikes last patch, so this patch actually got the nerf in patch 11.4. Got a little nerf there, but he's still staying super strong. I think his win rate's probably dropped about 1% since last patch, which is significant, and hopefully Riot, for my sake, don't nerf him anymore. And then he's going in at a 1.7% ban rate. And you can really see there's a few champions with higher pick rates than him in the top 10. So we can obviously see Maokai with a 7.7% play rate. We can see Garen with a 7.2, and we can see Darius with a 7.7, but their win rates are all sitting around 51.5%, suggesting that Cho'Gath with almost a 1% higher win rate is really a strong pick. And again, he's one of those comfort pick champions. You don't have to be really mechanically good at the game to play Cho'Gath. You just max E, Chill out in lane. You don't have to win lane. All you have to do is go even. You can even go slightly behind. Look for those team plays. Look for those TPs. Look for those neutral objectives where you can get your feast off. And look at grouping and being that front line for your team. Now, I'm going to speed through this a little bit because I feel like I'm taking way too long on this. We've got Poppy coming in at number 3. A tier rated by U.GG with a 52% win rate, 2.4% pick rate, and a 1% ban rate. Basically meaning Poppy's pretty hot at the moment. Low pick rate, suggesting she's probably not going to get nerfed and she's probably not under Riot's nerf hammer eyes. Yet she's sitting at a 52.17% win rate, actually tying with Heimerdinger for the third highest win rate in top in patch 11.4. But I think Poppy's a little bit of a niche one. I think she works really well against certain champions like Wukong. I believe she can stop Urgot's little jump as well. Then you've also got Camille, which is was quite a popular champion. I'm also curious as to see whether Poppy's W blocks Stride Breaker, because maybe that's a bit of a meta setter there. But obviously Poppy's played generally because she's just a really good tank. She has a pretty strong laning phase and she can proc her Grasp of the Undying really easy with her Buckler passive, which basically gives her a ranged attack and a shield when she picks it up. Let's move on to jungle. So now the top 2 champions here, and Poppy actually comes in at number 3, but we've got Udyr at number 1 with a S+ tier rate, 54.18% win rate, a 10.3% pick rate, and a 64.6% ban rate. Thanks for confirming that, OmegaLol. Poppy's W does block Stride Breaker active, which is actually a really important little tip there. That's quite a cool little counter to champions that you know are going to go Stride Breaker. She's probably a really good counter to Gnar as well. But coming back, Udyr, this champion, will be very surprised. I haven't actually read 11.5 patch notes yet, but I would be very surprised if Udyr survives this patch without a nerf based on these statistics. 54% plus win rate is always dangerous. When you have a 10% pick rate and a 64% ban rate, you know the champion is unbalanced in the meta at the moment. And it's particularly because he goes phase rush. And to be honest, I always think movement speed has been a really underrated resource. It's not really a resource. I can't think of the word right now, but movement speed has always been kind of such an underrated not ability, I'm just going to call it resource for lack of a better word. Underrated resource compared to like damage, health, armor, magic resist. He's getting some health nerfs per level for patch 11.5. Thanks out to him for dropping that in there. So he's getting a couple of nerfs, which I'm, not surprised at all about. But I think it's just because of how well he's able to utilize movement speed. His Phoenix stance procs phase rush really quickly. He can go Nimbus Cloak, he can go Water Walking, and he can go Celerity in the phase rush tree. And so I think unless you're nerfing his movement speed, which I think is actually the right move, I don't think that speedy Phoenix stance Udyr that we see on the map is the healthiest for gameplay, because it's just a bit weird. I don't think like nerfing his health or nerfing his damage stats is the right move. I think we actually got to nerf his movement speed a little bit to actually get him at a healthy level, because it's not really the way Udyr used to be played, and maybe they want Udyr to be played in a new way. But anyway, he's going to get a nerf. I don't think it's going to affect his win rate too much. I mean, nerfing his health, I don't think that's going to be a real big nerf, considering he already just builds full tank anyway. So I expect him to probably be strong into the next couple of patches. Now, coming in at number 2 is Tyler 1's favorite champion, Ivan, with his ultimate Daisy, with a S tier rating by U.GG with a 52.76% win rate, a 2.6% pick rate, and a 1.1% ban rate, making him look like he's quite a underpopularized pick, which is interesting because his jungle style is a little bit niche. But given Tyler 1's love of him, and basically he brings Ivan up and Daisy up almost every stream, he even plays him in top lane a bit, you'd think there'd be a bit more popularity around the champion. In my opinion, I don't really like playing Ivan. I don't think he's a champion you'd want to pick up if you're new to the game or if you're probably plat and below. I think you could play him in high-ish plat, maybe even plat 4, plat 3. I don't have personal experience there with Ivan, but I think he's one of those champions that's really strong, but he's almost an enabler. So you really need some strong teammates or some teammates you can rely on, or at least some damage sources on your team to make Ivan work. And then coming in at number 3 is Poppy with a B tier rating, a 52.63% win rate, a 1.1% pick rate, and a 1% ban rate. Basically, it's pretty surprising. Poppy coming in top lane and then jungle as well, suggesting that there is a little trend here and maybe Poppy could be quite a strong pick. I don't know much about her. I assume she's decent. I mean, her ganks aren't that good. She doesn't really have I guess she kind of has a gap closer, but she doesn't really have a dash. So I don't think she's that strong. Now, this is interesting. So looking at mid lane now, we've got Pyke coming in at number 1, A tier, with a 53.19% win rate, a 0.9% pick rate, and a 3.3% ban rate. Basically meaning he's not really meta at the moment, but you're going to see quite a few of them. Now, Pyke's pretty popular. He got popularized in mid lane, I think, by the EU West LEC. I can't actually put my finger on who started using him first, but for some reason, I feel like Pyke, maybe it was last season or this season, Pyke mid saw a lot of popularity, and it makes sense because his roams are really strong. Coming in at number 2, again, a really easy comfort pick, low mechanically requiring champion with Annie. So coming in at tier A with a 53.01% win rate, a 2.5% pick rate, and a 0.8% ban rate. Yes, Omega Lol coming in with G2 Pyke everywhere. Pretty much took the world by storm for a little bit, and then people realized it's good. It's a little bit cheesy, and it's pretty easy to predict and play against, at least in pro play. I think in solo queue, you can still definitely abuse it, and obviously people are with a 53.1% win rate. But coming in at number 2, no surprise, Annie. She's such an easy champion to play. She's got a really strong kit. And to be honest, if you're wanting to climb in the mid lane, I couldn't think of a better champion to play rather than Annie. Just super easy, really easy to get comfortable on, really quick to master because you don't need to really concentrate too hard to be good at her. She's got some good AoE spells. Her Tibbers is a really nice team fight mechanic as well, and even after you die, you can pilot him. So I think Annie overall is a really strong pick in the meta, and it will continue to be. I can't really see Annie ever coming out of the meta. She's just a bit boring. So Neeko coming in at number 3, which is very surprising, with a 52.89% win rate, a tier A rating, a 1.9% pick rate, and a 0.3% ban rate. Basically meaning she's got a bit of popularity in terms of picks, but no one's nerfing her, making me think, if you're a Neeko player, or if you've ever played Neeko, she could be a really good champion to play. And because she's not played too much, a lot of people still don't really know how to play against her. They always get fooled by her clone. People don't really know that you can dash and proto belt with her ult, so people often get caught out. And you can really 100 to 0 people, similar to Annie. The only problem with Neeko I see is sometimes it can be a little bit hard getting into team fights compared to a champion like Annie, who just excels in team fights because she can basically fight with Tibbers. She also has that shield that she can activate onto allies now. So Neeko does have a little bit more of a team fight problem compared to someone like Annie. She's probably a little bit more mechanically intensive. Again, not too hard, but her laning phase is probably a little bit rougher, and I wouldn't say her team fight is as ideal as Annie. So going on to bot lane, we've got Seraphine S+. I mean, this champion, ever since she's come into Summoner's Rift, I've kind of had enough of her, to be honest. 57.54% win rate, 1.8% pick rate, 30% ban rate. It's like, come on, Riot, this champion is just silly. They gave her some pretty big nerfs in this patch, but it's just clear to see she's still too strong. Personally, I don't really get terrorized by Seraphines. I just find it a bit annoying. I find her a bit boring to play against, but if you're looking for a champion to play in the bot lane, Seraphine has a very good win rate. The problem is with her ban rate and her win rate, chances are she may be looking at getting a nerf. We can also see Swain coming in at number 2 with an A tier rating, a 55.19% win rate, a 0.9% pick rate, and a 1.6% ban rate. Again, Swain, a little niche pick there. I think Swain and Seraphine are actually really good picks, particularly if you're good at flexing mages into the bot lane. I think Swain and Seraphine are really good picks for when you have a really AD heavy comp. Let's say you get a Zed in the mid lane, a Yasuo in the mid lane, or a Yone in the mid lane. If you have kind of a pocket pick Swain, a pocket pick Seraphine that you can play in the bot lane as AD carry, I think that's actually a really undervalued and almost underrated skill set or champion pool to have. So interesting to see there that Seraphine and Swain taking out the top spots as AP carries, which is very interesting. And then Tristana coming in at number 3 with an S tier, but only a 51.51% win rate, an 8.1% pick rate, and a 2% ban rate. Again, making me think Tristana's a pretty popular pick at the moment, but if you're looking for some easy dubs, Seraphine and Swain, as long as you've got a bit of skill on them, they aren't too mechanically intensive. And as you can see, every champion we've looked at doesn't require much brain power. Very consistent champions, easy abilities to hit. You don't need to do like 60 APM like Aurelia to dash around 6 creeps, time them so you kill them all with your Q, get your 5 stacks, and then go in and make sure you hit your stun so you can reset your Q. La la la. They're easy champions to execute on, easy champions to climb with, and if you're looking to climb, you just go to sites like u.gg and just look at these easy to play champions and abuse them, if that's how you want to play League of Legends and if that's how you want to climb. Moving into support, now this is quite interesting. Bard comes in at number 1, S tier rating with a 52.31% win rate, a 5.6% pick rate, a 0.6% ban rate, making me think that yes, he's quite strong, but chances are I don't think he'll get a nerf. A 52% win rate, it's hard to nerf a champion with that. His pick rate isn't too high. 5.6 is relatively high compared to the other 2 champions in the top 3. But in reality, his ban rate's 0.6, making me think that while he does have the highest win rate... Wait a second. Oh, yes, sorry, he does have the highest win rate. I misread this, guys. I'm slightly dyslexic. No, I'm not. Bard has, the 52.3%, 31% win rate, making him the highest win rate support. But the fact that he has a low ban rate basically means people think he's good for the meta, or people aren't bothered by him being in the meta. So I think he's a really good pick. I think he's a great roaming champion. I think Bard's one of those really good champions in like Diamond, sometimes Plat, let's say Plat 1, Plat 2 and above, where you can leave your AD carry alone, leave some charm, leave some health things there. I forget what Bard's health things are that he kind of spawns, and they eventually like get to full healing potential. Those little guys, leave a couple in lane and then just go roam. His roams are so impactful. He has such good movement speed. Again, movement speed as a resource in League of Legends is highly underrated, highly undervalued, and a lot of people don't abuse it enough. So I think Bard's a really good pick there, and it makes sense why he's coming in at number 1. We've then got Maokai coming in A tier with a 52.3% win rate, a 2.6% pick rate, and a 0.8% ban rate. Again, making me think that he's not too much of a problem. Because he's got a 52.3% win rate and he comes in at number 2, yes, he's annoying, and yes, his Emax with Comet is a little bit frustrating to play against, but to be honest, with the Imperial Mandate nerfs, he is manageable now. There was a moment there, I think in 11.2 or 11.3, where Maokai was a little bit unmanageable just due to that damage he could do with Arcane Comet and Cheap Shot plus Imperial Mandate. He was just stacking up a lot of damage, but no surprise there to see him at number 2, and I do think there are some people playing him with Grasp of the Undying at the moment, and playing him almost a little bit like a tank, but I do still think the Arcane Comet is the best build there. Obviously though, if you need a tank, I'd recommend going into Aftershock Maokai. Now, coming in at number 3 is Zillion with an A tier rating, a 51.87% win rate, a 3.2% pick rate, and a 0.5% ban rate. Again, Zillion, underpicked champion, not too mechanically intensive. Yes, you got to do double bombs, and yes, you can almost perma-slow when you time it correctly, but he's a pretty easy champion, super high value with his speed up, slow down, stun, and revive. He can have super high impact in lane and in team fights. So I think those three champions, no surprises there. To be honest, Bard's a little bit surprising, considering you don't see him that much. Bard coming in at number 1 is a little bit surprising there. Now, I forgot that I was actually meant to go over my op.gg, so I'm going to do that now. And obviously, if you were here on my last stream, you would have seen my op.gg. And to be honest, I haven't played too much. I actually took a little break before these 3 games here. You can see I played them 4 days ago. And then obviously, if you're just listening to this, I'll go through as much as possible. But basically on my op.gg, you can see right now I'm Platinum 1, 69 LP, Platinum 1 with a 44 wins, 30 wins, giving me a 59% win rate with a 65% win rate in my last 20 games. Now, I stopped playing on this account for a little bit because in one game where I was 4-0-5 when I left the game, I didn't leave the game on purpose, sorry, the game froze on me and actually then crashed, wouldn't let me reset it. I actually got a lever buster, even though my team, we won the game in 22 minutes. I actually DC'd when I was 4-0, but because of how the leave buster system works is I still got the lever penalty, which is fair enough because I let my team down. Obviously, it wasn't my fault. It was a client error side, and I raised a support ticket, and they basically said we can't revert it. So I went, fair enough. I took a break thinking they might be able to change it. Then I went 2 losses, 1 win. I was actually, that game was going for diamond promos, which would have been really nice, but you know, it is what it is. So currently my top 3 played champions are my Cho'Gath, my Rumble, and my Hecarim. So Cho'Gath in the top lane, Rumble in the mid lane, and Hecarim in the jungle, because I am actually playing Phil at the moment. I literally am just queuing up with the Phil button. I don't really mind where I play at the moment because I know I can kind of play every role almost to a diamond standard. I think my AD carry is probably my weakest role at the moment, but given a lot of people like to play AD carry, I can usually get away with not having to pick it too much. So my Cho'Gath, I'm currently with an average of 6.2 CS, with a 2.96 KDA, with an 85% win rate over 13 games. So yes, 85% win rate, but a pretty low volume of games played. I've then got Rumble coming in with a 5.6 CS per minute, a 3.01 KDA, and a 77% win rate with 13 games played. And then I've got Hecarim in the jungle with a 5.9 CS per minute, a 3.81 KDA, and a 75% win rate over 12 games. So you can pretty much see I play comfort picks. Obviously, I've been playing for quite a few seasons. I've been playing since I think season 2, season 1. So I know a lot of the champions, and basically I have comfort picks in every role now where I can get pretty high win rates. Now, obviously, these are small volumes of games, and as I get to like 20, 30, 50 games played on my Cho'Gath, Rumble, and Hecarim, I'm expecting these win rates to drop and average probably around 55 to 60%, which again, a 55 to 60% win rate on your most played champions is more than enough of what you need to climb in the right direction. So findings I'm finding in high plat at the moment is, even if you lose lane, it's so important to make sure you don't go out of the game. So basically, if you're someone who, when you start losing lane, you get frustrated, you start trying to like force yourself back into the game, I always think it's a really bad move because it eliminates the chances of you coming back into the game the right way. Yes, you'll sometimes be able to like cheat your way back in by taking a like 0-2 fight, you're 0-2 and your lane is 2-0. And yes, you might be able to win that fight, but every time you die, every time you get behind them, unless you know your power spikes and the champion match up really well, chances are you're going to lose that opportunity where you try and like take a kill back. Instead, look for ways to come back into the game like roaming, warding, getting priority for your jungler, CSing better, or at least CSing as best as you can in the situation, and trying to reduce the loss as much as possible. don't look to always win lane. You don't always have to win lane, especially the higher elo you get. All you have to do is just make sure your opponent isn't, way too far ahead of you so that your team has to deal with this insanely fed champion while you're, farming, trying to catch up, and just absolutely useless to them. So that's what I'm finding. Now, what else do I have? Yes. The next segment, and this will be probably the last segment, the topic of the week. Now, this is high skill cap champions versus low skill cap champions. Now, I think there's pros and cons to both. I think the pros of high skill cap champions is you can outplay your opponents when you're playing at the top of your performance. You can do really good things on these champions. These are the champions that can snowball really hard. Think the classic example is a champion like Irelia. Another example is Yasuo. They're quite mechanically intensive to be very good at. Yes, you can play them really poorly and sometimes you can get wins with them, but they're very high skill cap champions to actually master. And so I think they've got pros in that if you're really good at them, you can excel and really abuse mobile champions or people who are not playing their comfort picks or champions that get countered by those high mobility champions. But at the end of the day, high skill cap champions have a lot of cons. If you're not playing well, if you get tilted, if you lose lane, these champions become very hard to get back in the game. And yes, they do scale a little bit, but you really got to watch out for them because they're just not as strong as, say, a really easy champion to pilot and play like an Annie, a Rumble, a Cho'Gath. These champions that have decent teamfight potential, safe, solid laning phases, and decent AoE or high damage CC or spells that can help out their team even when they're a little bit behind. Yes, the 0-10 Yasuo power spike. You see it all the time. Now, pros and cons of low skill cap champions. So champions like Rumble, Cho'Gath, and what's another one? Annie. Let's go with Annie. And again, I'm using examples that I'm repeating because they're very easy and top of mind. These champions, the pros of them are you can not be playing your best. You can be having an off game. You could even be slightly a little bit tilted, even like lose lane. These champions give you the potential to come back into the game just by making sure you stay relevant. You stay relevant by CSing wherever you can. You stay relevant by grouping, even if you're a little bit behind. If your team wants to group, you just have to get there. And an Irelia who's behind grouping with their team is going to do so much worse than a Cho'Gath who's a little bit behind grouping with their team, because Irelia needs, a bit of damage and needs some items to excel, whereas a Cho'Gath is quite stat efficient and money efficient, meaning his items don't require too much gold income to get. His tankiness and his utility and role in a game doesn't need as many resources, isn't as resource intensive in terms of income and XP as champions like Irelia and Yasuo. So that's kind of the pros. I think the cons of low skill cap champions are, particularly for players, you can start cheating a lot of things. So you start getting a little bit lazy with stuff. You notice your CSing probably is a little bit shit. Your micro is never as good as someone who plays, Irelia every day. And that can lead to troubles when versing high skill cap champs that are being piloted and played by people who have mastered them or who have a lot of experience on that champion. You can get easily outplayed when you're playing low skill cap champions because they're usually less mobile, have less killer combos and stuff like that. But yeah, they're kind of the pros and cons. My personal feelings and attitude, and I alluded to this earlier in the episode, is that I always prefer low skill cap because I know I don't play that many games a week anymore. I probably play maybe 10 to 15 ranked games a week at the moment, and I don't have the time required to learn and master champions like Irelia and Yasuo. And to be honest, if you're wanting to climb, these champions aren't that efficient in terms of your time. If you have limited time, even if you're playing a lot of games a day, Yasuo and Irelia can be really brain intensive. They're mentally draining. To try and play Irelia or Yasuo like 10, 15 games in a row and play at peak performance is just very hard compared to trying to play like a Cho'Gath or a Rumble or a Hecarim or an any 10 to 15 games in a row is so much easier because you don't have to think too much about the micro. You just got to understand that yes, your combos, you can fuck them up a little bit and it still won't affect it. Whereas Irelia, you have to get your combo perfect. Yasuo, you kind of have to get your combos perfect or near perfect to actually make sure you consistently excel. So that's my personal feeling and attitude. And to be honest, what I'd recommend if you're looking to climb, the quickest way, the fastest way that you're going to learn to climb and the least mentally taxing is low skill cap champions. They're easy to learn, they're quick to master, they're usually fun to play, they'll get you the wins, they'll get you less frustrated because you'll generally have more impact on the game in them. And to be honest, yeah, if you're looking to climb, particularly if you're trying to go like silver to diamond, bronze to gold, iron to silver, these kind of, multi-divisional growths or improvements, play low skill cap champions that are ideally comfort picks and you have a proven track record. So I usually have a Q&A section. Hey Nate Dog, how you going? I'm going to try and have a Q&A section here where I basically get users over the week to ask questions in my Ask Me Anything channel in my Discord. If you're watching this on YouTube after this is recorded on YouTube podcasts or anything like that, my Discord link will be in the channel description. But if you're looking to ask a question or you want to ask me a question and you want to have it answered here, if I don't have time to answer it here, I'll answer it via like a DM on Discord. Jump into that server, ask your question. I'll try and read them out and have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of these all the time. Twitch kicked you out of the stream. So if anyone in the Twitch stream, I know I've only got a few viewers, but if anyone has any questions for me, this is the time. Otherwise, I'm just going to yarn a little bit about what I've been doing. So the last week, I haven't really played too much League. I've been super busy at work. We've had a lot of new stuff coming in, a lot of busy stuff, but it's been a good week. Still got to go to the gym, still got to walk my dog a lot, still got to have a bit of free time and work on some coaching stuff, but it's been a busy week. So obviously League for me at my stage in life comes a little bit as a secondary for me, which I sometimes miss because I really like to kind of come home at the end of the day and just play a couple of League games. But this week, I think I've only played 2 or 3, and I think 1 or 2 of them was a normal game with a couple of workmates. I've actually got a little bit of a League team going in at the company that I work for as a marketing manager. I'm slowly getting a League team together there, which is quite fun. A few of them aren't level 30 yet. We've got one of them asking, how do I climb out of Iron 3? Peacock, your problem, because I know you personally, mate, you have to just play more ranked games. You just have to get in there. If you can find a duo queue partner, I'd highly recommend that. To be honest, Peacock, I think you and Jimmy, you and Arcane Goat would do very well together as a duo queue. I think that's probably the best way. Iron 3, players are only in Iron 3 for 2 reasons. 3 reasons. 1, they're new to the game. 2, they haven't played many ranked games. And 3, they're like one-tricking a champion and going like the complete wrong build. And that's a very niche, small percentage of Iron players. The vast majority are new players to the game who have literally just gotten a rank the first time. And then it's players who just haven't played enough ranked games. You generally get out of Iron as a freshie in your first like 30, 40, 50 to 100 games. Iron's basically just a placeholder. It's not really a permanent residence for the majority of players. It's almost arguably harder to get into like Iron 4 than it is probably like Diamond 4. Do you want to be my duo queue partner? No, not really. I've seen how you play, mate. Nah, I'm kidding. Look, I could, but the problem is our rank difference is a little bit too high. So, maybe not. Maybe not, Peacock. If you slide me some money, I'm sure I can work something out for you. So, no one has any questions in the chat. I'm a little bit disappointed besides Peacock, but that was nice of him to ask those questions. I'm probably going to end this now because I actually have to go out. I'm going out for a couple of drinkies at a mate's house. I bought some Australian pale lagers. I don't even know what that means, but I think my man is making me some espresso martinis. So it's obviously a Friday night for me at the moment. I'm thinking of getting a couple of drinks under me. I'm probably going to drive there, so I'll be pretty sensible. But, who knows where the night will take me. But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning into the stream. If you're listening to this, the pre-record on YouTube or podcast, please, once again, my Discord will be in the links below. My website as well if you want to get coached by me. And pretty much you can ask me anything on my Discord. I have some really good stuff there. I'm also currently running a beta test group with my new League of Legends course called Untitled. So if you're interested in that, once you join the server, just DM me. I'm the server owner, Dylan-LCA. You should have a beer of the week stinger. Yes, Peacock. Well, maybe I'll get my resident stream master to get me some stingers that I can work out on this stream and get some really cool transitions going. But anyway, guys, yep, I'll leave links to everything you need to know about me in the description below. And obviously my Twitch users can see that in the tab below my stream. So guys, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next episode of the League of Legends Experience. Stingers, yes sir, we'll get them on the next one.